Today on the Topping Show, Shark Tank star and entrepreneur Kevin O'Leary says we should put a 400% tariff on Chinese goods as the trade war heats up. The View Sunny Hostin says women and African Americans may not be able to vote if a voter ID is required. Federal agencies spent $4.6 billion on furniture in the past 4 years, even though most of them work from home. Bentley goes hybrid, and AliExpress sells a hairdryer that gets recalled. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see, that's a joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase, with a Picatinny rail adapter so you can mount it to any standard AR-15, like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more, or click the URL in the video description below. Lastly, trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Bentley going hybrid and making less power, but they still say there's a lot, but there is less, and it's a hybrid. And it's a Bentley. I don't know who the target audience is. Well, I do. I can't help but think they don't give a damn about a hybrid. But they are making it nevertheless as they acquiesce to government regulations. Now, this comes with thanks to Motor1.com. And they say, quote, Bentley's new hybrids make less power, but still has a lot. The bonkers 771 horsepower speed models still exist, but now there's a second option for 18 people who want this crap. I'm kidding, 19 people. And to me, the design actually looks worse than usual. Granted, I'm sure that's the most expensive bougie convertible you can get, bar none. Though, you know me, I'd still rather have a Mazda Miata because it has a third pedal, also known as manual transmission. A lot more fun at the track, but I partially digress. Obviously, a whole different type of vehicle. Now, again, this is credited to Chris Smith, who's right over there, in which case he says, quote, in case an ultra-luxury sedan or big two-door Grand Tourer with 771 horsepower is just too much to handle, Bentley now offers a Flying Spur and Continental GT with a second powertrain option. I can't believe they do this. Called the high... They're calling it the high performance. Okay, Bentley. It's called the high performance hybrid powertrain with twin turbocharged 4-liter V8 still powered with a single electric motor. But the combined output is dialed back to only 671 horsepower. The difference comes entirely with the gasoline engine. The range-topping speed models in ultra-performance hybrid set up to get a 592 horsepower from the engine alone, supplemented by 187 horsepower from the electric motor. The high-performance powertrain has the same electrical output, but the gas engine is retuned for 512 horsepower. That's sad, it's dumbed down, aka retuned. Combined torque is also down slightly from 590 foot-pound of torque to 568, which, that's not too much. The battery capacity is the same, 25.9 kilowatt hours. Here you can see they got the hardtop edition as well. Looking, I'm not really a fan of convertibles in general, but it is, I'll give them credit, it's cool they still make the coupe. I mean, coupes in general are rarer and rarer and rarer these days. And shoot, a Bentley, now granted, the best Bentleys have 12 to 16 cylinders. I'm more of a purist, or maybe I enjoy the original Bentleys more, not that I've ever, had the privilege. Maybe someday, perhaps, well, who knows. But they say, quote, despite being down 100 horsepower from speed models, the new versions are by no means slow. Bentley quotes a 0 to 60 time for the Continental GT hardtop at 3.5 seconds, which, given it weighs as much as a building, that's pretty good. They are a bit slower in the convertible at 3.8 seconds, roughly half a second off the Continental GT speed. However, the electric range is only slightly better at 53 miles for the hardtop and 51 miles for the convertible. The Flying Spur matches the Continental GT convertible's speed of 3.8 seconds, 0 to 60. Bentley lists an electric-only range of 50 miles. The high-performance powertrain is offered on standard and Azure trims, which pretty sure they're not working with Microsoft. Haha, IT pun, if you know what Microsoft Azure is. Though they suck at marketing, they renamed it yet again a couple months ago because I'd be consistent. Terrible Microsoft, but I digress. They say the Azure models are identified by brighter trim for the grille, wheels, and special badging, among other things. The Bentley doesn't come right out and say it. The retuned offerings are likely aimed at meeting emissions regulations in Europe, which, of course they are. you're spending, how much is this? Jesus, oh my gosh. The only thing I'm more impressed with, fiscally speaking, well, actually, no, because it's a waste of money and it decreases in value and it's not an asset. But when I go to a car show and I see an expensive car, I think that is pretty impressive. They got to a certain point in their life where they can buy one of these really fun toys. Most of them are registered in Montana. Taxes are tyranny, most part. I don't blame them for that. But when I see like a Ferrari or Lamborghini or like a Porsche GT3 RS with a Texas license plate, meaning they paid the extortion tax, the Texas registration fee, I just think they have so much money to piss away because they actually paid for that stuff. Now, these start at $265,900 for these Bentley Continental GTs. Jeez Louise, plus registration tax and all that other stuff. But yeah, I mean, they're saying, they haven't come out and say it's because of regulations. I'll come out and say it. Of course it's because of regulations. The people who buy these cars do not give a damn if it's a hybrid or not. I would actually argue they're less likely to buy it and they would rather not have a hybrid. I mean, geez Louise, you think a regular Bentley is unreliable? Add a bunch of electronics and see how much worse it gets. So this very well may end up being in the business blunder section of the show in a couple of months, or we'll see how well these vehicles age. But yeah, it's interesting to see Bentley, even they are going hybrid, and we'll see what sales do. But let me know in the comments your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the Cultural Pod podcast, you have the Shark Tank star and entrepreneur Kevin O'Leary saying we should put a 400% tariff on China because they don't play fair, which they don't. They have a ridiculous advantage, especially in manufacturing. There's no such thing as the EPA kneecapping them over there. They have no unions kneecapping them. They have very friendly environmental laws, very friendly, employment laws. It's a reason why a majority of darn near everything is manufactured in China. Or let's be honest, when we see that term, we always hear China, which, yeah, I don't think that'll ever go away. Now, this is posted actually thanks to Kevin O'Leary on X, hashtag Kevin O'Leary TV, and he says, quote, 100% and 4% tariffs on China are not enough. I'm advocating 400%. I do business with China. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have never abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades. They cheat, they steal intellectual property. I cannot litigate in their courts. They take product, technology, they steal it, they manufacture and sell it back here. True. Nobody has taken on China yet, not the Europeans, which of course is the weak Europeans would never take on China. I mean, the citizens, and again, there's some good people there, don't get me wrong, but they're so weak and pathetic. They elect leaders who literally make their lives hell by having no freedom of speech, no freedom to defend themselves, unregulated immigration, basically, and ban the things that they make, like Germany acquiescing to the European Union, saying, oh yeah, don't worry, we'll stop making gas cars, we'll kill off some iconic Porsches, so like China could win with their EV products. Europe is a weak conquered area, is what I'm trying to say. But nevertheless, getting back to Kevin, he says, quote, not the Europeans, no administration for decades. As someone who actually does business there, I've had enough. I speak for millions of Americans who have intellectual property that has been stolen by the Chinese. 400% tariffs starting tomorrow morning, which, spoiler alert, I don't think Trump's going to do that. It would be pretty baller if he did. Although, I mean, it's Trump. So if Kevin O'Leary says 400%, I think Trump would want to be more iconic. Kevin O'Leary said I should be 400%. I thought that was too low. So you know what, China? You're going to have 500%. That's 100 more than Kevin O'Leary until you stop ripping us off left and right. Those terrible automobiles, your knockoff products, your ridiculous Tamagotchi knockoffs. Those still a thing? I don't think so. But yeah, in terms of having your intellectual property stolen, they are the capital. They are the, like, if there's a first place for deplorable ripping off intellectual property, China would be it. Now, let's see actually hear what Kevin obviously goes on the CNN where I can't think they're owned by China. But let's hear, I can't think CNN will probably melt and cry. Let's watch.
But Kevin, he said there's a lot of deals that they're literally kissing his ass was the phrase he used, very eloquently. Where are the deals?
104% tariffs on China are not enough. I'm advocating 400%. I do business in China. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have never abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades. They cheat, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts. They take product, technology, they steal it, they manufacture it, sell it back here. Never has an administration.
400% tariffs? What would that look like?
I want Xi on an airplane to Washington to level the playing field. It's just not about tariffs anymore. Nobody has taken on China yet, not the Europeans, no administration for decades. As someone who actually does business there, I've had enough. I speak for millions of Americans who have IP that have been stolen by the Chinese. I have nothing against the Chinese people. They brought great literacy, art, and tech to the world.
Gunpowder.
The government cheats and steals, and finally, an administration, you may not like Trump, you may not like his style or his rhetoric, finally, an administration that puts up and says enough. 400% tariffs tomorrow morning. He'll tell you why. Xi can only stay the supreme leader if people are employed. If we wipe out any business there, because we are still 39% of all consumables on Earth and 25% of the world's GDP, America is the #1 economy on Earth with all the cards. We will not have that forever. It's time to squeeze Chinese heads into the wall now.
Strike while iron is hot. And hopefully we're the best economy forever in terms of consumer spend. We'll see. I'm thinking there's some ways you can do that. Maybe, having the government not steal a majority of our income would be nice. So you could actually, buy a house and build a family and, buy fun toys. But another topic for another time, perhaps. Now, this got pretty viral. I got 1.1 million views and 22,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Mrs. Red, White, and Blue, saying, quote, "The people telling you Trump is wrong about tariffs were 100% wrong about inflation, jabs, Ukraine, law and order, immigration, bailouts, etc. Don't even bother listening to them. They just want their USAID money back." Getting 17 likes, and yeah, I concur. You also have Robin Sword saying, quote, "Bring the manufacturers back to the US. We built it better than anyone anyways." Getting 32 likes, which in many ways, yeah, I think there's a little bit of a confirmation bias in regard to American manufacturing in terms of the quality, in terms of the only way you could really feasibly make anything in the US is to make it to a very high standard, so people are willing to pay more of a premium over things that are imported from places like China, as well as Mexico and Canada. Pretty sure that's how they speak up in the north, but who knows? I've never been there. Why would I want to be? But it's one of those things where, yeah, the only things that remain in the US are, high quality goods for the most part. You also have GM vehicles, partially kidding. But again, China makes some good stuff. It's not all crap and all stealing intellectual property. In terms of volume of stuff, probably a lot of counterfeit crap over there. But, don't forget, the iPhone famously is made there. Pretty much every the largest electronics subcontractor out there is Foxconn. They've been diversifying, starting to make stuff in India and other countries. But for the most part, the most advanced, sophisticated devices that aren't not to the point of being DoD or defense contract types of devices, they're all made in China. I'm not a fan of that. When I think of electronics in terms of like audiovisual production, you have some Japan, obviously for the optics, or I think about guns, also true. But in terms of lenses and cameras, in terms of like audiovisual gear, Rode is the only major competitor I could think of in terms of not made in China or Mexico. Sure, one of the best microphone manufacturers in history, headquartered still in Illinois, they make the iconic, SM7B, which every podcaster has, and I have in the corner, I'll probably set up. That's made in Mexico. So, yeah, in terms of we make it better, I do agree, but there's also a little bit of confirmation bias, I think. You also have CMCG saying, quote, "The number of times I've watched you on ABC Shark Tank advocate for small businesses manufacturing their widgets in the U.S. to move to China to save cost. What are you doing to those businesses who listen to them take your investment?" Getting 34 likes, which, yeah, that's also true. Kevin famously advocates for most people who come on Shark Tank to make in China. The number one reason he says that is cost. And that is because China has an unlevel playing field. They have no EPA not kneecapping them. They have a lot of things going for them that give them the best advantage for manufacturing. And when it comes to the American consumers expecting a certain price point, that is why Kevin famously pushes China when it comes to actually manufacturing a product. Now, it'll be interesting to see if the consumers are willing to pay more for that. Now, you also have Canadian for Freedom. I feel so sorry for them. Imagine being born in Canada where you have no freedom of free speech, no freedom to defend yourself, when you got America right there, so close. Now, this Canadian for Freedom says, quote, "And Canada should do the same. Our farmers get taxed at 100% by China, and our government doesn't even mention it. WTH. It's because your government is corrupt, evil, and manipulative." That got 45 likes. Let's make it 46. Yeah. Again, the Canadian people, I love. They're hilarious, jovial. Many of them love freedom. Their politicians sold them out years ago. Never forget that piece of crap, Justin Trudeau, totally not the alleged bastard of the Castros. Well, he said, they asked him, who do you admire the most? He said Xi Jinping in China. Of all the countries in the world, the leader of Canada said, oh yeah, I admire China the most. Because of how quickly they can respond during the pandemic, aka stamp on human rights, tromp on who, do whatever they want. And that should tell you everything you need to know about Justin Trudeau and the leaders of Canada. Do one or two more comments here. I don't see too many contrarian comments. A couple. Jake Hash Queen says, quote, you are so right. China's the largest customer. They cannot afford to lose us. Get Xi on a plane and make that deal today. Getting 56 likes. Mama Too Tired says, quote, China has never had another country stand up to them. Stop importing everything and start selling to the rest of the world. America made. Getting 24 likes. Brian G, which if Elon Musk was in charge of the trade negotiations, he would do this. But he says, quote, 420% is better. Getting 168 likes, which, thanks to the Urban Dictionary, I know is a reference to the drug paraphernalia community. Though, I mean, if you really want to go all out in terms of puns, I guess it wouldn't be a dad joke. It would be a dirty dad joke. It should be 420.69% tariff on China. Again, if Trump were to do that, that would be hilarious. I don't think he would. Elon probably would, but Trump would. Although, Elon makes a lot of Teslas in China, so probably not. Who knows? Satosh E says, quote, Kevin's just trying to play bad cop to Trump here. He's hoping the public takes his message and goes, what, 400%? Wow, I guess Trump was right in China. I can support this, getting 25 likes. Let's see, one more. Alpha Chino says, quote, why just make it 1,000,000%? Only rich people support what is happening here. Getting 100 likes. 1,000,000%? Well, that's not really feasible. That would price things literally into the stratosphere. Although this person got a lot of comments. Well, the first one is by Adam Webb responding to him saying, quote, false, you're an effing moron. Take a seat in the back of the room and be quiet. Getting 11 likes. Now, and then other people are commenting, why are you supporting cheap labor? Only rich support this happening. No, I think a lot of people, especially family and people who own small businesses and infecting, especially manufacturers, I think a lot of them are upset with China. Again, they rip off so many ideas and intellectual property, just completely rip it out and take people's ideas away from them. I think a lot of people are fed up with them. Again, Kevin calls it out. You can't litigate in their courts. They don't even care. They just steal your product, copy it, and sell it. And the audacity, they even sell it in the United States. Sometimes you'll get lucky when the importation process will be able to stop it. But really, it's like whack-a-mole because there's so many startups in China that just change their name. It's really difficult to compete against them. So let me know, do you think 400% is, just pie in the sky? Is Kevin just being bombastic? Or do you think putting something like a 400% would actually get China to wake up and negotiate? Let me know in the comments because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have the View Sunny Hostin saying that, well, African-American and women might not be able to vote if they have to show an ID, showing how mentally vacuous she is, and I would also argue racist. Now, this comes to us thanks to the good old end wokeness, in which she says, quote, Sunny Hostin, quote, many blacks and women will not be able to vote if we require an ID, which, yeah. Again, this is also coming from the View, so it's mentally vacuous right off the bat. Let's, although maybe she'll give us some very particular exact points of why. And maybe she'll have some logic in there. Obviously not, but we'll hear what she has to say.
People that don't have cars, that don't have cars, don't have driver's licenses. So it's sort of a vestige of, I think, post-slavery laws where black people had to prove their right to vote. And oftentimes they couldn't vote because they couldn't pass some crazy test or they didn't have the appropriate ID. It also affects women that are married. Maybe your passport reflects something that's different on your birth certificate or on your driver's license. So really the bottom line is voter suppression. And I agree with him 100%. It's a brilliant notion that less voter ID laws allows more people to vote. And most democracies do it that way. We're the only ones that really don't do it that way.
Right. She is as wise as she is beautiful. Haha. That's a pun on her attractiveness or lack thereof. Yeah, most developed countries around the globe, they all require voter ID. This is the biggest myth. They say, oh yeah, voter suppression. Yet I've yet to see a single legitimate person come on the TV and say, I'm an American citizen. I was not able to vote. If they had those people, they'd be showcasing them on CNN 24 hours a day. It doesn't happen. We all have IDs. You need them to do pretty much anything in the United States. from picking up, well, I guess maybe it's a little dated to talk about a library book, although I still appreciate physical books. But if you need to do anything such as pick up medicine, buy alcohol, tobacco products, buy firearms, there are a myriad of things where you need an ID for. Pretty much to enter a club, I mean, to get a job. And she goes, oh, yeah, they don't have IDs. This is the same stupid thing. I mean, they brainwash college kids. We see all these famous interviews. I actually tried to post or try to promote one on YouTube. They didn't like that, so they struck that down. But yeah, it's one of those things where there's so many people that go, oh, yeah, it's racist to ask for an ID. Yeah, spoiler, people of all nationalities, we get IDs just fine. My family came from Cuba. Guess what? We all have IDs. My neighborhood is very diverse, not only in the way that matters, too, in terms of thought, although we all share the same morals. Got very lucky with this rental situation. But it's one of those things where, yeah, we all have IDs. We know how to go to the DMV. She says, oh, you might have a car. You know what everyone, for the most part, has? A smartphone. The smartphone saturation rate in the United States is nearly 100%. It's ridiculously high. You can do a lot of things from your phone. You can call an Uber. You can call a Lyft. You can walk to the library where they have free Wi-Fi when they complain, oh, yeah, they might not have internet. The bigotry of low expectations is so viscerally disgusting. And I don't know if Democrats will ever learn. It's costing them votes. People are fed up with this crap. Though it still makes for vile entertainment. As you saw, it's got about 873,000 views, as well as, let's see how many likes she got today, 11,000 likes. Well, the first comments comes from Barefoot Pregnant saying, quote, everyone should have access to vote regardless of race or gender, which, well, obviously, I got 66 likes. I mean, yeah, no one is arguing that. It's just having an ID, which is the easiest thing to get. And then she's saying, oh, yeah, the name might change. We all have birth certificates. It's pretty easy to show. Again, I don't think I'll ever get this far, but you can show a marriage certificate. We all have those. Well, I don't. I'm still single for now. But someday, maybe. But nevertheless, you have Brina Mariano saying, quote, as a woman, I'm offended by Sunny thinking that we're all just stupid as she is. Okay, 1.5 thousand likes. Libercrat Media TM says, quote, unreal, they love lying. And say, Mimi says, quote, I'm so ignorant and wrong, I'm going to be loud about it too. Getting 378 likes. Jay says, soft bigotry of low expectations, aka racist, getting 343 likes. Might get 344 likes. Oh, 45 going up like stock. Well, not stocks these days, but some days. Yeah, Paul Tsuzupa saying, quote, Sunny Hostin doesn't even have a high opinion of black people or women, getting 1.4 thousand likes. Sean Farhish says, quote, black people don't have IDs? Sunny Hostin is such a racist, getting 4.6 thousand likes. Yep. Spoiler alert, they do. We all do. I also have Tommy Sotomayor saying, quote, this is a lawyer, people, a lawyer with a white mom, LL, getting 789 likes. Crazy Moment says this. They show the age of voters, of Biden voters, and they claim someone 360 years old voting. One person apparently voted for Biden with that age. I mean, shoot. Grandpa always, I mean, the old joke is Grandpa always voted Republican his whole life until he died. They voted Democrat. But yeah, that's a couple million. They got 100, again, it is annoying. There's no URL or reference in terms of a source. It looks like it's just a screenshot. But it got 202 likes. Let's see here. Crazy Moment says, Honey Hostin says Democrats don't want voter ID because it's too hard for elderly women and poor people to get them. She also says most Democrats don't require voter ID. Sunny is insane. Then they have a list of this from Fox Business. Somehow some business. I can't believe that. But nevertheless, a reference from Fox Business that says, quote, countries who require voter ID. Which, yeah, spoiler, it's pretty much all of them. Literally. From Pakistan to Sweden to Germany to Australia, Luxembourg, which I think people forget is a country, Switzerland, Ireland, Italy, Japan, Korea, well, South Korea, Czech Republic, Israel, Portugal, Estonia, Slovenia. Yeah, pretty much the whole civilized world require voter ID, except some states. Though, I suppose you could argue that some Democrat states are such dystopian hellholes with crime and other corruption that they are becoming third world countries, in which it wouldn't make sense for them not to have voter ID. I could understand that argument. Now, that picture got 1.6 thousand likes. You also have Samuel Ray saying, quote, the View requires voter ID for their live audience. According to Sunny Hostin, this means they do not want black people in their audience, getting 547 likes, which, it's hilarious. It's also funny to think that the DNC convention or the Democrat convention, in order to get in there, you have to show you guessed it, ID. So yeah, this myth, they're going to, I don't think they're going to learn. I mean, they've been pushing this crap for years. Let's see here. Oh, it's just more, street interviews or people are asking people, where to get an ID. And of course, everyone with modicum intelligence says, I have an ID, I know where to get them. But let me know, do you think they'll ever stop driving this narrative? I mean, I think the average American is tired of it. They see right through it. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the show, you have the federal agency spending $4.6 billion on furniture in the past 4 years, while many of them work from home. Which, yeah, that's quite a pretty penny. $4.6 billion on furniture since 2021. Which, what was going on during that time? Oh yeah, work from home, where maybe they're buying employees' furniture for home. Although I would think that most of the time you would have them reimburse you. Even that seems, how many federal employees are there? About 2 million, 2 million about, give or take. 4.6 billion on furniture. That is, in my opinion, just utter corruption. Now, this comes with thanks to End Wokeness. And there's a little, wow, this one probably got 2.7 million views and 38,000 likes, which is quite a few to say the least. Let's hear what they has to say here.
On high-end pieces. Since fiscal year 2021, executive agencies have spent more than $4.6 billion on furniture alone. That amount could buy 9.2 million American families a modest $500 kitchen table. During the peak years of the COVID emergency, from 2020 to 2022, agencies spent $3.3 billion on furniture, even as work migrated to Zoom. The SEC managed to spend $700,000 furnishing a single conference room in New York.
What?
And social distancing guidelines failed to keep even the Centers for Disease Control from buying solar-powered picnic tables with charging ports that by their own rules should have sat unoccupied. And an added burden for taxpayers is that many spaces are in long-term disrepair, as we mentioned before. Federal buildings need $370 billion in fixes.
Trash. Wow. People wonder, why is more than half of our paycheck being stolen from us with income tax, with sales tax, alcohol tax, tobacco tax, gasoline tax, telecom tax, capital gains tax, property tax? It's a fun crap like this. This is ridiculous. And one of the first comments comes from Ian Miles Chong saying, quote, can we at least sell the furniture? Getting 145 likes. Sarah Smith says, 4.6 billion, and Lord knows what the furniture was used for. There's a famous deplorable Democrat who actually had adult relations in a federal building, which try to keep it moderately family friendly. When I say adult situations, I'm not talking about taxes, if you know what I mean. He also, that got 375 likes. Derek Evans saying, quote, laundering money, I want to see arrest. Getting 1.1 thousand likes. Agree. The conservative alternative says, quote, you forgot the word allegedly. They allegedly spent 4.6 billion on furniture. In reality, most of that money simply disappeared into the coffers and contractors who were hired to furnish the offices. Big difference. Getting 352 likes. Kelly says, quote, where did all the furniture go? Getting 142 likes. Good question. Florida 1 says, quote, can we please start arrest? How much money fraud needs to be revealed? Are we not going to hold anyone accountable? Getting 250 likes. Historically, no, we have not held many people accountable. Be nice. Be rare. Truth Hurts says, quote, 4.6 billion on furniture while federal employees work from home is not just wasteful, it's open theft from the American taxpayer. You don't need ergonomic chairs and luxury office setups for buildings that simply sat empty for years. That's not operational spending. That is money laundering operation with a government seal on it. Where are the audits? Getting 178 likes. Reese says, quote, 4.6 billion on furniture while half the staff is still in pajamas and Zoom. That's not just wasteful, it's peak government clownery. Imagine your tax dollars buying office chairs for empty offices. Getting 393 likes. I'm actually surprised in terms of the contrarian perspective. No one has brought up the broken window fallacy, or, they'll argue that, oh yeah, this is good because they help prop up businesses because government money was used to buy furniture. But again, it was for stuff that wasn't needed. You have Rightwood Journal says, quote, the government at work, 4.6 billion. Hey, let's have everyone work from home, but spend 4 billion on furniture no one will use. Getting 5 likes. That sounds like government logic to me. Let's see. Cooper Cafe says, quote, there should be a trail of invoices to companies who sold the furniture. It's amazing how when companies buy furniture, etc., there are invoices that list when purchase. Why is that not the case with the federal government? Getting 76 likes. True Explorer says, via Doge, we've learned of intentionally wasteful spending, a scale of money laundering and embezzlement hard to comprehend. My jaw drops every time I see this type of announcement. 4.6 billion since 2021 on furniture by federal agencies, in spite of 50% employees working remote. Gained 111 likes. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we ever actually get a paper trail of, the government spent XYZ on furniture, XYZ. You actually see the SKUs, the specific furniture pieces they were buying. Yeah. Never forget, pretty much every government agency, with the exception of the Marines, fail audits when it comes to financial accountability and accountability of keeping track of your physical items. Every other military branch, every other government agency fails, especially the Pentagon. So we'll see. What do you think? Will anyone actually be held accountable for this? Or do you think it'll just be, oh yeah, we found out about it, let's sweep it under the rug and focus on something else? Let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the business blunder of the day, you have AliExpress recalling one of their hair dryers because it might, electrocute and shock you. Now, this is brought to us thanks to the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, which they say, quote, AliExpress recalls, I don't know who named this company, LVOE. Although if you're dyslexic like me, you read it as love, or allegedly dyslexic. Never been tested, but why? Well, why bother? It's not a pill to fix it or anything like that. Now they say, quote, AliExpress recalls LOVE hair dryers due to electrocution and shock hazards sold at AliExpress.com. Also, Calumba think this is blatant copyright infringement. Calling you out China yet again. I'm sorry. China, because it looks oddly like a Dyson hair dryer. But it's not a Dyson. Now, they say, quote, the handheld hair dryer lack an immersion protection device and can cause death or serious injury due to electrocution or shock if they fall into the water when plugged in. The hair dryers are currently in violation of the federal regulations and present a substantial product hazard. Now, in terms of scale, this actually wasn't too bad. They only affected about 30 units before the recall, which, again, if you're one of those 30 people who bought this garbage, you can reach out to them at US_product_recall at AliExpress.com. Now, it looks like the thing that blows my mind is, geez, how many, it's a cheap Chinese knockoff and they still charge this much. They're sold between April 2023 through December 2024 for between $117 and $185, which is, geez Louise, they're manufactured by Shenzhen, well, actually not trying to intentionally to butcher this, Shenzhen Minele Technology of China. Recall number 25-211. Upside is, no one's died or no one's been electrocuted because of this manufacturing error thus far. But still, AliExpress already has they already have the reputation of being the lowest, cheapest knockoffs on the planet, bar none. And to keep having these recalls where they go, oh yeah, this could actually hurt you. Gotta say, AliExpress, as well as this manufacturer, you are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.